Hi, this is Zachary Ball with Omnis Technologies. In our continuing series on the CTERA units, today we're going to be getting into the cloud services portion of the actual CTERA devices. Without the cloud services, the CTERA itself would just be a local backup only. So let's go ahead and dive right in, and I'll explain some of the features. So under the cloud services menu, we have status and remote access. Under the status menu, the first portion here is the CTERA Portal. So you can see that this device is actually connected to omnistech.cteraportal.com. Gives us a connection duration and the server address. Now from here, you can actually sign out of the cloud services, just making the CTERA itself a local backup only. Or we can actually change the account if we need to go to a different provider or something like that. Down below is we have the subscription information. So some of these features we don't use. Some are add-ons that we might use if a client wanted to use it. So the first one is cloud folders. This is not something that we typically use. Firmware updates is pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, when CTERA releases a new firmware update, we want to make sure to get all the devices up to the latest version. The cloud backup. This client is on our 350 gig quota. Data loss prevention. This is a service that we generally don't use. Antivirus is also something we generally don't use. The antivirus service will actually scan your data out on the cloud to see if there's any malicious folders or files that maybe the local antivirus didn't pick up. The dynamic DNS. So if you're not familiar with dynamic DNS is real-time updating the domain name service. So if the CTERA device changes IP addresses, or maybe the client changes internet provider, it changes all of the IPs, this will update it automatically so we can get remote access to it. There's nothing we have to do. It just happens automatically. Logging reporting is self-explanatory. Obviously, we get logging and reporting when we do sign up for the cloud services off the bat. This is kind of a default. Management and monitoring. This is what allows us to do the centralized control over the CTERA unit. Seeding. This is something that we also don't really need or use. Remote access. This is actually how I'm accessing this CTERA unit, is through remote access through our portal. Cloud file sharing. Cloud file sharing allows us to download your files from the cloud backups from anywhere. And then log forwarder is obviously self-explanatory. Any logs that we can go ahead and forward from there. Remote access. This is where we actually control whether you can access the CTERA unit remotely or only locally. So it's either on or off, really. So I could turn this off and it would kill access and I wouldn't be able to use this through the portal. One of the other settings that we can allow one sign-in only at a time. So you can sign in multiple users into a CTERA unit by default, but we can also just check this, so that only one person can actually get in at a time. We generally don't set that up, but this is the option to where if you want to turn off remote access, we can do that from there. Thank you.